Alcohol feels like a modern problem, but your brain started adapting to it before humans even existed. Not thousands of years ago. Millions. Today you learn exactly when ancient humans started drinking alcohol. You also learn why your brain reacts to it the way it does, and what that means for you right now. Most people think alcohol is a choice, a habit, a weakness, a cultural thing. Psychology and evolutionary science say something far more unsettling. Your relationship with alcohol was shaped before your species was born. Here is the science, and here is what to do with it. Let's start with the real definition of the problem. Most people frame alcohol wrong. They call it a vice, a temptation, something to resist with willpower. That framing is the first mistake. It misses the full biological story. Your body does not treat alcohol like a foreign invader. It treats it like something familiar, something it has encountered before for millions of years. Ethanol, the alcohol in every drink, occurs naturally in ripe fruit. Fermenting fruit produces ethanol. Your ancient primate ancestors ate that fruit every single day. They had to choose the ripest fruit. That fruit had the most ethanol. It also had the most calories and the most sugar for survival. So over millions of years, your ancestors who could smell ethanol survived better. They found food faster. They ate more calories. They lived longer and reproduced more. This is the drunken monkey hypothesis. Evolutionary biologist Robert Dudley published this in 2004. It changed how scientists think about your relationship with alcohol. Here is where it gets stranger. Around 10 million years ago, something happened in your DNA. A mutation appeared in a gene called ADH4. ADH4 controls an enzyme that breaks down ethanol in your body. Before this mutation, your ancestors could barely process alcohol at all. After the mutation, that enzyme became 40 times more efficient. 40 times. Researchers published this finding in 2015 in the journal PNAS. The lead researcher was Matthew Kerrigan at Santa Fe College. What triggered this mutation? Climate change. 10 million years ago, forests in Africa started shrinking. Primates who lived in trees were forced down to the forest floor. There they found fallen, rotting. Fermenting fruit on the ground. The fruit had higher ethanol levels than fruit still on the tree. The primates who could process that ethanol survived. The ones who could not did not thrive. Your body literally evolved to handle alcohol because of a climate crisis 10 million years ago. That is not a metaphor. That is your actual biological history. Now, here is why common advice fails. People try 3 things to cut back on drinking. All 3 usually fail. The first thing people try is telling themselves to stop. Pure willpower. I just won't drink tonight. This fails because willpower works against your biology. Your reward system was primed for ethanol over millions of years. You cannot think 10 million years of evolutionary wiring with a decision made at 8 p.m. The second thing people try is removing temptation. Empty the house. Avoid the bar. Decline every invitation. This fails because avoidance builds no new neural pathway. You are not replacing the behavior. You are just suppressing it. And suppression has a ceiling. The third thing people try is substituting with something else. Sparkling water, soda, juice. These fail because they do not address the dopamine trigger. Alcohol does not just taste good. It activates the same dopamine circuits your ancestors used to signal a successful food find. That signal is ancient and deep. A glass of soda does not replicate that neurological event. Understanding this is what actually changes your relationship with alcohol. Now, here is the protocol. Step 1. Name the evolutionary pull. Before you drink, pause for 5 seconds and say this to yourself. This urge is 10 million years old. That is not a trick. That is neuroscience. Labeling an urge activates your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is the part of your brain responsible for conscious decision-making. 2007 UCLA Street UDI led by researcher Matthew Lieberman confirmed this. Simply naming and emotional state, reduces its neurological intensity. When you name the evolutionary pull, you shift from reacting to choosing. You do not eliminate the urge. You create space between the urge and the action. That space is where choice lives. Step 2. Locate the real trigger. Ancient humans drank fermented fruit because their brain linked ethanol to calories and survival. Your brain still runs that link, but it has added new triggers on top of the old one: stress, social anxiety, boredom, loneliness, celebration, habit. Your job in step 2 is to identify which trigger is active right now. Not to judge it, not to fix it yet, just to name it precisely. I want to drink because I am anxious about the meeting tomorrow. I want to drink because everyone else is having one. I want to drink because I am bored. And it is 9 p.m. on a Tuesday. Each of these is a different trigger, and each needs a different response. Most people skip this step entirely. They respond to the urge as if all urges are the same. They are not. Step 3. Engage the actual need. Once you have named the trigger, ask one precise question. What does my nervous system actually need right now? If the trigger is stress, your nervous system needs regulation, not suppression. Regulation. Deep diaphragmatic breathing for 4 minutes activates your vagus nerve. This directly reduces cortisol levels. It is not a lifestyle tip. It is a biological override for the stress to alcohol pipeline. If the trigger is social anxiety, your nervous system needs safety. A phone call, a walk with someone, a genuine 5-minute conversation can satisfy that primal need. If the trigger is boredom, your nervous system needs engagement. Movement, novelty, or a task with a clear short-term outcome will activate the same dopamine system that alcohol activates, but without the ethanol. Step 4. Use the 10-minute delay rule. After completing steps 1 through 3, set a 10-minute timer before drinking. This sounds almost insultingly simple, but the neuroscience behind it is solid. Alcohol cravings peak and then subside within 8 to 12 minutes, if not acted upon immediately. This is documented in Craving, research from addiction neuroscience. The urge is not permanent. It is a wave. 10 minutes is often enough to let it pass naturally. If after 10 minutes you still choose to drink, that is now a conscious decision, not a reflex response to an ancient evolutionary signal. That distinction matters enormously for how your brain builds patterns. Conscious repetition builds different neural tracks than automatic reflex repetition. Step 5. Track your triggers over 2 weeks. Keep a simple daily note. Just 3 lines maximum. What triggered the urge today? What I actually did. How I felt 30 minutes later. Do this for 14 days. Patterns will emerge that you cannot see inside any single moment. You may discover your drinking clusters around specific situations. Sunday evenings, work deadlines, social events with specific people. Once you see the cluster, you can address the root context directly, not just the symptom. One realistic expectation before you try this protocol. These steps do not remove the evolutionary priming in your brain. Nothing does. 10 million years of biological history does not unwrite itself. What these steps do is build a conscious layer on top of that wiring. They give your prefrontal cortex a chance to participate in a conversation your ancient brain was having without you. Ancient humans started drinking alcohol millions of years before. They made a single conscious choice. The pull you feel is not weakness. It is evidence of survival, but survival instincts that helped. Your ancestors find calories on a shrinking African forest floor do not automatically serve you well in a modern American life. Your brain is ancient. Your choices do not have to be. If this kind of evolutionary psychology interests you, the next video covers why your brain is wired for sugar. Addiction in the exact same way. Same ancient mechanism, different modern trap, worth understanding.